Well, hi there. Happy Friday. Welcome back. You know, our trees have been getting so much needed moisture this week with afternoon showers. But the dry weather is not the only thing bad for our urban canopy. There's a tiny bug causing big problems for ash trees in Colorado. If you have an ash tree, it's time to take action. Tanya Rush is live across the street from the station where we found a cluster of ash trees, and City Forester Rob Davis. Tanya?
Box. Well, it's amazing to think that actually 1 in 6 trees in our area, they actually are being affected by what they like to call the EAB, and that's who brings us to our next guest is to help us explain this a little bit more. And unfortunately, even though there's great shade here, we're at the Mother of God Catholic Church, and it is just lined with this type of tree. So explain what the problem is with this type of tree.
So our ash trees in Denver are now in danger because of an invasive pest known as the emerald ash borer that was discovered in Boulder in 2013. 2016 it jumped to Longmont. People ask, is EAB in Denver? The answer to that question is kind of tricky. Typically I say maybe. The reality is you don't find EAB in year 1. Every city I've ever talked to has usually found that pest in years 3 or 4. So we've been telling people it's close, about 15 miles from Denver's border. We assume that EAB is potentially in Denver, just not yet detected, has yet to be detected in Denver at this point.
Okay, so let's take a look. How do you identify? I mean, we're surrounded. This is like a canopy of the ash tree. Yeah. So how do I identify? Is it basically the leaves, the bark?
You know, there's a few key pieces to identify an ash tree. The first one I'll talk about is our leaves are, an ash leaf is compound with 5 to 7 leaflets like this. So that's one identifier. Just the leaf is broken up into multiple little leaflets. Another key piece is the opposite branching. So if you look here, you can see the buds are directly opposite each other. Yeah. And there's only about 4 species in Denver that are actually opposite branched like that. So those are steps 2. And then the last step would be if you have an older tree, you can identify the bark. If you look close at these trees here, has more of a diamond pattern to it. A diamond-shaped bark, especially as they get older. Those are kind of the 3 key characteristics to identifying an ash tree.
Okay, so what can residents do to protect, if their ash tree, we want them to be a smart ash, to protect their tree against that pesky insect?
So the first thing we need our residents to do is not procrastinate. We need our residents to, step 1, do you have an ash tree? Learn how to identify it. Find out if you've got one on your property. Step 2, you should be kind of learning about what your options are. If you do have an ash tree, learn what the options are. You've got to place a value on your tree. Is it a tree you want to keep? Or is it a tree that you really don't have a lot of interest in keeping, and kind of develop your plan around what you're going to do. Start now, become a smart ash now.
Okay, so the EAB, the emerald ash borer, what does that give? A brief description? Green, red, black?
So it's a really small beetle. It would sit on about the size of a penny if you were to set it on a penny. If you really want, the best thing for people to do, go to beasmartash.org. We've got lots of pictures, lots of great information. I could, try to talk about as much as I can, but just a bright green, shiny, metallic beetle about the size of a penny.
Okay, so what are some valuable, some good options, let's say, if they do, because we need trees. I mean, they're really important for our environment. If we have to take it down, another option to put in its place. Any suggestions?
The most important step is how old, how big, how valuable is your tree. The bigger they are, the longer they take to replace. So if you've got a big, nice, healthy ash tree, those you should really be looking at closely. Develop a treatment plan. Talk to a professional arborist out there. And if you do really have a strong attachment to your tree, it's a lot of value for you. Look at different treatment options. The beasmartash.org website has different information about all the treatment options out there. But if your tree's small, it's only been planted for a few years, the other option is to consider replacing that tree versus setting yourself up for a long, long time of treatments. And unfortunately, ash is really, really popular. Some neighborhoods, were heavily planted with ash trees a long time ago, and it was still happening, just a few years ago. So that's kind of the key steps.
Okay, so sprays and different things are really popular right now to keep ants and other things away. Is there anything that we can do if we have a healthy ash tree in anticipation of that? Sprinkle something around maybe the base, or just get rid of it?
So right now, treatments would be a preventative treatment. The one that the city is doing is an actual trunk injection where the tree is drilled. We actually inject it directly into the trunk of the tree. There's no spreading or spraying of the pesticide that way. And that treatment has been shown to be 90% effective in the Midwest. So if you have a really nice tree, you do have an option to protect it if you want to keep it. If it's a smaller tree, there are some over-the-counter type products that you can use as well. But that trunk injection has been found to be the most highly effective when it comes to treating trees.
The city is doing that. Can we call and have them, or do we do that ourselves? Ask, or is that just not for the public, but specialized professionals?
So the city is treating street trees, but it's only qualified trees. You can actually look at, we've got all of Denver street trees inventoried. You can go to BeASmartAsh.org, log into our website there, and you can see if your trees out front of your house are an ash tree and which ones have been treated, if they're going to be treated this year, next year, or they were treated in 16. So that's your option. Is the city's treating street trees, we're treating park trees that are qualified. The bigger trees, we're not saving all of our ash trees, but just the biggest, nicest, best trees. As far as private property goes, that's our key to private property, is trying to educate our residents on what they can do and what their options are.
That's so good you're doing that. And what are the first signs that a tree is becoming damaged? I oftentimes notice the leaf as the first part. Is that a good sign?
Typically, you'll see dieback in the upper part of the canopy. What that means is you'll see dead branches in the upper canopy of the tree. The problem is it's hard to be a tree in Colorado, and a lot of our ash trees just naturally are symptomatic of emerald ash borer. So if you looked at the ash trees around here, you would see some dieback in them. There are some native borers that do show up in our trees here that aren't fatal, but they have similar, they've got these exit holes that can be confusing. Somebody might look at their ash tree and see these holes in it and assume, oh, that's EAB. Emerald ash borer exit holes are small, they're D-shaped. Take a look at BeASmartAsh.org and you can see some good pictures, but really it's dieback. If you see flicker activity like a woodpecker, kind of going after your tree, and little exit holes, those are the kind of the early signs of emerald ash borer.
Okay, I think I'm officially a smart ash. Good. Is that what you would say?
That's what people, that's what everybody inside told me. So I'm just kidding.
I love that campaign. Be a smart ash. They are encouraging that. It's amazing to think 1 in 6 trees are being affected by the EAB. All right, Denise, back to you.
Great job, Tanya. Thank you. We could have told you a long time ago Tanya was a smart ash. Yeah, 1 in 6 trees in Denver are ash trees. If we do nothing, it's just a matter of time before they all will be devoured by the emerald ash borer. Identify if you have an ash tree on your property and then regularly check for signs of the EAB. If the trees display any symptoms of the EAB infestation, contact the office of the city forester immediately by email. Here it is. It's forestry@denvergov.org. Or, of course, you can call 720-913-0651 for more information. Visit BeASmartAsh.org for more info.